Welcome everybody. In today's video is going to be a little different. We're going to type in GDScript how to into Google here, and we're going to answer some of the top asked questions. Alright, welcome. So let's go ahead and just go on in GDScript how to, and let's take a look. How to export game. Okay, well that'll be simple enough if we head on over into our engine. Just pull that down. In order to export your games, you're going to need your export templates. You're going to head up into editor, and you go manage export templates. And if you have it installed, you already have it. You can see I have 2 other versions here. If you don't have it, then you can select either the GitHub release, the Tux family mirror, or whatever the best family mirror is, or the best mirror is for you. And you can go ahead and hit download and install. Just like that, and then it'll wait, it'll connect, and it'll go ahead and download the needed templates. Now, alternatively, if you do not have this, you can head over to the website. So if I just switch back over here, bring my browser up. So if we open this up, we head on over, we go over to the download section of the website. And you should be able to get the templates. Let's see, where are they at? Right here. So you can get the standard templates, or you can get the mono/C# templates. You can get both of those right there. You can go ahead and just download one of those. And then back inside the engine here, instead of hitting the download and install there, we would hit the install from file. There we go. We just hit this button, and then we would locate the file that we just downloaded. And select that, and it'll begin installing the templates. Once you have those, we can just head on up into Project, come on down to Export, and if you hit Add, you should now see everything down here. If you're exporting for Linux, you select Linux. There's nothing here that you need to select. If you want 64-bit, leave that on. If you want to embed the PCK into a single executable, or the Linux version of an executable, rather, which is just an X11 file, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I've used Linux, but you can just go ahead and select that, and everything will be packaged into one program. And if we head on over to Mac OS, you see invalid bundle identifier, so we would need to actually fill in a little bit of information. I believe we're just looking for right here, the identifier. So we would just do something like com.mygame, for example, and now we have our identifier. That's the only thing that we have to fill out. Display, you have the option of putting high res on there. You can turn that on or off. And pretty much all this other information is up to you and whether or not what you want to fill in here. If you want to do a Windows desktop, again, same thing, 64-bit or 32-bit. If you want to embed the PCK or not into the executable and have a single file. Everything else you don't need to touch. If you have code design here, then if you have that, then you know what that stuff is. If not, don't need to worry about it. And this will be your application information, at least it's supposed to. For me, everything in this application section, none of this ever works for me. This is supposed to set your executable icon, and if you go to properties and details on a program, that's where all this other information is supposed to be, but none of that ever works for me. None of it fills out. And that'll cover your main programs here, your main export here. You just hit Export Project, select the location, hit Save, and you'll get your exe or your X11, or I think Mac is just a zip. Unless you're on Mac, then you get a DMG. And if you're not bundling in the PCK, you'll get that file with it. We then have Android, which we can take a look. If we do down here, you got to put in your key store information in order to do a release key, as well as the debug stuff should already be set inside of our editor settings, which is already a video on the channel. You can take a look at that if you're interested in doing Android stuff. You can export for an APK, but if you want to export for the Google Play Store, you'll need to select use custom build on, You'll then need to select AAB. And not only that, but you'll need to come up into, is it scene? No, project, and install Android build template. So you need to do all those if you want to do an AAB. Let's see, what do we have left? We have an HTML5. Simple, we don't need to change anything in here. We can simply just do an export and we'll get all of our HTML files ready for you to upload to something like Itch and embed into your website. That leaves us with iOS. You're going to have to do a bunch of Mac stuff. I believe you're going to have to go over to, take this over to Xcode, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't done iOS, but I have looked into it, and I'm pretty sure you got to take the, after you export from here, you have to take it over into Xcode, and you have to do a few small tweaks over there as well. But as you can see, you got to fill in an identifier. You got to put your store team ID. And of course, you need an icon set. So you got to already be part of or registered as a developer for the store. And that leaves us with UWP, which is going to be the same situation here. You can select whether x86, x64, or ARM. As well as filling out your all your information here. And of course, you're going to need to be a part of the Windows Store for this, in order to set this stuff up and submit it into the UWP. The benefit to this is UWP can run on a Windows phone, it can run on the Windows operating system, and it also is supposed to at least run on the Xbox. So, in a way, you kind of have a console support there, but not really, seeing as the file should run on an Xbox as well. Although I don't have an Xbox and I don't upload to the Microsoft Store, so I cannot verify that. But that'll cover all of our exports. Let's go ahead and see what the next question is that we have. Let's take a look. Change a scene and instance a scene. Okay. Okay, so instance a scene, and we have one for instancing a scene in code, so we can address both of those at the same time. Alright, so if we come on down, we take a look. Let's see. We'll go ahead, we'll create our main scene here. Main scene. Save that. And I'll create a second scene here. We'll call this we'll just call it a kinematic body. Doesn't really matter. We'll bring in a sprite. Give it the classic icon here. Save that, and we'll say demo sprite. Okay. So in order to instance this into our scene through the editor, we select what we want to be the parent, in this case our main scene here. We hit the chain link icon in the top left, just above our scene hierarchy. And we'll be able to select any of our pre-made scenes already. So, for example, we can bring in our demo scene here. We can click command again, and we can bring in another one. Click command again, bring in yet another one. And just like that, we can keep instancing in as many scenes as we want here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and delete those, because our other question was how to import them through code. So I'm going to go ahead and add a script onto our main scene here. Now, to add instance our demo sprite in via code, we're going to create a variable called demo. We'll call it demo scene. We'll set that equal to a preload. And we'll go ahead and, as you can see there, we're going to select our demo sprite. And now that we have that, we just go to our function or whoever it is we want to create or instance in this scene. And we can say, we'll create a new variable. We'll say scene inst to represent our instance scene. So we'll say demo scene dot instance. And with this will create an instance of our scene. So it's not going to bring the scene itself. It's going to create almost like a copy of the scene and bring it in. So we have that. It's not being shown yet. But if we don't need to change the position or anything of that, all we have to do is just to add child. Now, in this case, since I'm using GDScript is on our main node here, it's going to be adding the child to our main scene. So to make this a little clearer, I like to do self.addChild. This way I know if I'm adding the child to myself, or if I'm adding it to the get parent, or if I'm adding it to one of the children, etc. Right? This just makes it a little clearer to me. And then all we're going to put in here is our scene inst. And that's all we have to do for our bare minimum here. So let me make sure that this is being captured here. There we go. And you can see it spawned right up there in the top left corner because we did not set its position. If we want to do that, then either before or after we add the child, we can do scene inst, and we're working with a kinematic body 2D. So we can just do position and set that equal to a vector2 of whatever we want. So let's say 600 by 300. And that'll get us close to the middle, not exactly. There you go. And now we've instanced it and we put it in a specific part of our scene. So those are really the only 2 lines of code that you need. Create an instance and add it as a child. And if you really want, to, technically, we could do this all in one line, like so. But the downside of this is we wouldn't be able to change its position or anything because we're not storing that specific instance anywhere. So it's always best to create an instance as its own variable. That way we can target that one specifically. But there we go. There's how you can instance in a scene, either through code or using the editor. Now, the next question we had was how to change a scene. So we're going to go ahead and just comment that out. And to change a scene, all we have to do is do get tree dot change scene. And we can go ahead and just select our sprite scene. And you see as soon as we load this scene, it's going to change us over to that. And if you want to see that a little more, I'll go ahead and use a yield get tree. We'll create a timer for 3 seconds. So after 3 seconds, it's going to automatically change scene for us. So 1, 2, 3. There we go. And now we can see the sprite up here in the top left corner, which is a good sign that we have changed scenes because we did not have that before. So there's how we would change scenes in code. Let's take a look and see what we got next. What's next on our questions? Let's see. We did export, changing scene, instance, pause game. Okay, we can do that. All right, so in order to pause your game, I've gone ahead and we take a look. We can set a timer here. And that's just let our sprite move across the screen for 3 seconds. That way we can get a good visual representation of our scene being paused. And to pause it, we actually just call getTree.paused, and we set it to true. If we go ahead and run that, you see after 3 seconds, our sprite will pause, as well as everything else in our scene. Now, if you don't want it to pause, such as your user interface, which would be where your pause menu is, because if you have that paused, then your game is essentially soft locked. So what you would do is you'd go into your pause menu, and you would set the pause mode to process. And now I'm using this on the sprite just as a demonstration. But you see now when it pauses, our sprite's going to keep moving because it's set to process while everything else is paused. So there we go. We see it never pause. And that's what you want for your pause menu. That way you can unpause. You can hit the resume button or close your pause menu. And when you do that, you'll want to unpause. So to do that, we set another timer for another 3 seconds here just to show you. And we do the same thing, only we set paused equal to false this time. Alright, let's take a look. Wait 3 seconds. Gonna pause. We wait another 3 seconds and it'll unpause. there you go. That's how we can go ahead and pause our game. Let's take a look. What do we got next? Let's see, export, change, instance, pause, make a 2D game. Well, I can't really cover how to make an entire game in this video. It'd be way too long. But we have instancing through a code. We did that. Change the main scene. Okay. To change the main scene of your game, we can go ahead and hit the play button here. If this is your first time, you'll pop up with this dialog menu. We can hit select current, which you probably will the first time. And then later on, if you hit that, it's not going to pop up anymore. But you may want to change that. Maybe you want to change it to our demo sprite scene. Well, you can just hit this reset button here. And then when you hit play, you see you'll have this option pop up again. You can hit select and choose your demo sprite. Alternatively, back in our project settings, we can just hit this little folder browse icon and we can select our sprite. And now when we hit the play button, that's the one that loads. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at what our next question is. Import assets. Okay, import assets, easy enough. Alright, so back to our game here. I'm just going to open up my File Explorer, head into my images, come over here, and to open up or to bring something in, all we have to do is just click on it and drag it on in. So I'll bring in this idle. Here we go, bring in the sprite sheet. So just click and drag it on into your file system and release. And you see it showed up there as Kanger sheet. If I click in, there we go. We have it here. And we're now able to bring it on in and use it. Now, in this case, it is pixel art. So this blur is not the desired effect. So we'll go ahead and select it here in our file system. We can go to the import tab, turn the filter off and hit re-import. And now we have that the pixel art look that we're looking for. So that's how we can import assets into our game. And let's see, what were those other questions? How to flip a sprite. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and bring our sprite in. Whoops. So let's see, we'll come in here, bring the sprite. And I'm just going to go ahead and set the animation. We have 3 horizontal, 2 vertical. There we go. So all we're going to do is to flip our sprite. We can comment those out. And we're going to take our standard 3-second pause here. And all we're going to do is we're going to get our sprite. And we're just going to call flip. And you can call flip H or you can call flip V. Alright, so all we do is we come in here. We get our flip ready. We set flip H equal to true. And then we can do the same thing with flip V. So if we want to flip it on the horizontal and flip it vertically, we can go ahead and play that. And I'm going to go ahead and just make this larger. Set the scale to 3 times just to make it easier to see for you. So there we go. And it's going to flip. And wait another 3 seconds, it'll flip again. And it's as easy as that to flip a sprite. You can just set it to true or false. And that's all we have to do. And that just leaves us with quit game. Alright. Well, if you want to quit the game through code, we're going to wait out 3 seconds here, and then all we have to do is call get tree dot. Now is it quit? Yes, it is quit in this language, and that's it. Now you can add in an exit code here, which we don't need any, but we'll go ahead and play it, and we'll see after 3 seconds, it'll just close on us. There we go. There's how to quit through code. But there we go. There's what do we got here? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 9 questions from Google on what to do or how to do specific things in GDScript here. Hopefully that helps some of you out there. And if you're new to this, fantastic. Hopefully you learned something new. And with that, take care. I'll see you guys in the next video. If there's something that you want to see specifically, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Go ahead and ask your questions. And by all means, I'll help you as best as I can. And if there's something that you want to see that you need help with there, maybe it'll be next week's video.